And 5, my brother in broadcast. Man, are you doing extra duty today? And thank you for
overtime
in the air chair. Yeah, overtime.
Overtime.
So it's good to have you. How are you? Everything okay?
Hey, Paul. Everything's great. I've just got I'm a little shocked that Perez would dig up Britney Spears.
Well, I do the opening bumpers, so he does the closing bumpers.
Okay, I got you.
It's the way it's always been, so you can blame that on me and not on him for any
well, I'm
reason.
Disappointed to learn it wasn't Perez.
No, it's well, are you a Britney Spears fan or not?
I don't know if I'd call me a fan.
Jeez.
I mean, I respect anybody with a little musical talent. I'll give her that. She's a disturbed individual, though.
She's just, you don't know if daddy is needed or not. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know if you heard Senator Sparks' interview with me, and you probably know the insides and outsides of this better than I do, because I cannot grasp, just like the interview I just had with Senator Branning.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And I try to, but it just seems that this is being proactive, but is the bill going to achieve what they want to achieve?
Well, I'm not exactly sure.
We're talking about the EV.
Right. I'm not exactly sure what it is they want to achieve in the context of government, because in my view, this is not in government's swim lane. This is anti-competitive, anti-free market, anti-consumer choice. That's what it is. In business, we call this the multimodal route to market, meaning you can consume the same product through multiple suppliers of that product. And what this bill would do, which just tags on to what we already have in Mississippi with respect to the retail sale of new vehicles, is just further restrict that, further limiting choice, further dictating to sellers and buyers the way in which they will consummate a transaction to acquire a new vehicle. We don't need government to protect this if that's what they think they're doing. Consumers are smart. The market will figure that out. If it ain't working, the market will say, I'm not doing business with you. Works pretty good.
This may not be apples to apples, but in the same, and I talked about this yesterday, we have a lot of people now, just about every dealership that's surviving is using the internet one way or the other. That's a big part of theirs. So if somebody in Dallas calls and they're looking for a vehicle and all of a sudden they find one at a dealership in Mississippi, they come to Mississippi and buy it. The internet part of that is as important to them as it is anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think this bill tends to ignore the realities of the digital transformation. How would this be different than the state of Mississippi enacting law that says, hey, Amazon, you're hurting a lot of these small businesses in our communities. You can't sell here anymore. In fact, you could have argued that allowing Walmart to set up shop in Mississippi, which last time I checked is the largest employer in Mississippi, that Walmart can't set up because, wow, they're putting all the mom and pop stores out of business down on the downtown areas of the small communities. Well, I don't like that either, but, you can't stand in the way of reality and consumer choice. Figure out something where you can add value to attract those customers. And so what did Walmart and Target do? They launched their own e-commerce businesses. They didn't just say, "Wow, legislature, you got to put a fence around here. Can't let Amazon in." That's just one of many examples.
Is there a middle ground somewhere that between these two things that could be found?
I don't think so. This is, Paul, I wrote an article, you may not be aware, that is published on our SuperTalk Mississippi website as of about an hour ago. And I kind of described it as a freight train going downhill at a very rapid rate, and it's loaded up with disruption. Every industry on this planet, every industry is subject to and will be disrupted. Look at our own industry, how much it's been disrupted. Look at this media business where we used to survive just on our shows being broadcast over the air, our content. Now look at the different ways our content makes it to the market. If we hadn't have adapted those new technologies, I dare say this company would not have survived.
Let me put it this way. I don't think any company in broadcast has adapted better when you start looking at us now. We were talking about geofencing and our digital team.
Agreed.
Our our terrestrial team is radio stations, and then the TV. Come on.
Yeah.
But you have to adapt on this one. The other part of that is the politics of this.
Yeah.
And if you look at the politics and you're a member of the GOP one way or the other, you think the vast majority of people in this state are against you Republicans on this one. I mean, by far.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go by any algorithms at all and you start looking at some of our data that we get in here through social media or through the C-Smart text line, I mean, it's 9 out of 10 of the people, and it's probably 10 out of 10 on most mornings, that do not want this bill.
People don't want government bullying them into where they will do business. They don't want that.
Yeah.
Just in general. And it doesn't have to be cars or electric vehicles. It could be, I don't know, pick it, airplanes. It doesn't matter what it is. People don't like the government intervening and saying, no, you can only buy that from here. Now, if this were a product that posed some possible harm or danger to society, such as drugs or alcohol being sold to minors, etc. You could come up with a number of other harmful, dangerous chemicals, pharmaceuticals. You know, that's regulation of a product and how it is sold, because it needs to have some controls. This is not a dangerous product. What are we worried about? A minor getting online and buying a $75,000 Tesla, which they ain't shipping until you paid for it or have some way to pay for it, and that minor may get behind the wheel and cause harm. Well, that's just impractical and dumb. That's not going to happen. I have personally lived with this, Paul. I got to tell you, in my 33 years of being in arguably the most dynamic, the most rapid-changing, evolving industry on the planet, I've dealt with this, and throughout my career, I would often be asked, Gerard, how do you keep up with all that technology? I'd say, that's easy. I got an army of great people that do that. What keeps me up at night is the route to market, is the way in which it will be consumed. Just look and think no further than the cloud. We all know what that is now. 15 years ago, it wasn't a thing. And we saw that coming downhill. We knew it was going to disrupt the way in which technology is consumed. Now we all do it. We don't think anything about it. But for those of us in that industry, that was incredibly disruptive. So what did? We adapted. We evolved. I built the first commercial data center in the state before the term cloud was invented, because I could see this thing coming. But, you know, we competed effectively with Amazon and Azure and the big cloud providers of the world, because we figured out a way to add value to serve the market that they couldn't and wouldn't. And that's what is going to happen here.
One more thing as far as politics are concerned is it's really ill-timed now with this election cycle going into full speed, certainly for the Republicans with somebody like a Brandon Presley on the other side. Not good timing at all, and some decisions are going to have to be made.
Well, it's kind of sad to think that we have some of the deepest blue states in the country that are more receptive to this multimodal sale of new vehicles than we are here in deep red Mississippi.
I also want to go back and say what I said before, that I'm very sympathetic to because car dealers, and especially our smaller communities too, are a big part of that community. They're the ones who have been there. They hire people. They have been part of the community for so long. It's part of the family. They're part of the church, the nonprofit organizations. They're the ones supporting baseball teams and little leagues and et cetera, et cetera. So I hope there's a middle ground that can be found here.
Check those boxes for my business too. But government didn't protect me. They didn't say, hey, Amazon, you can't sell cloud services. Hey, Cisco, you can't sell direct. We just had to figure it out. We didn't have the benefit of government saying, no, consumer, you can only do business there.
I would think it'd be an understatement to say that you're not passionate about this.
I think it's the worst piece of legislation ever to be entertained in our capital. As a capitalist, as a business person who lived it.
And more coming up at 8:05 this morning, or 10:05 this morning with Middays with Gerard Gibert. Thank you, man. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Paul. See you.